My name is Nancy Lopez. I am a 37-year-old working mom. I have been married to my husband, Christopher, who is the same age, for 14 years, and we live with our daughter, Mia. However, in reality, it felt like it was just Mia and me living together. I'm going on a business trip. I think I'll be back by Saturday. Christopher, who worked in sales, was often away from home, flying around different places for work. I wish we could spend more time as a family, but it's work, so I can't complain. At that time, I was supporting a family as a housewife. Some kids' dads play with them a lot. Some even come to school events. Why isn't our dad ever home? Only he could cheer up our daughter, who missed her father's presence. However, he would say, "I'm really busy with work. I have to work for us to live, so I'm sorry." He apologized to our daughter, who was sad, but never made time to be with her. Mia is growing up now, so I think I should take on more work. There's talk of me going on a long-term assignment, and I'd like to go. What do you think? Since Christopher had been on an overseas assignment for 2 years, starting from when Mia was in grade 4, we saw even less of him. Dad is busy, so it's okay. I'm not bothered by it. Hearing Mia say such things made my chest ache sometimes. He's in the sales department, so he probably wants to focus on his career. But is it normal to be away from home this much? I started working from home when Christopher went on his assignment, so I was able to spend time with my family. Thus, I gradually started questioning Christopher's frequent absences. I have a job that I can do from home, so maybe our levels of busyness are just different. He is working hard for us, so I shouldn't have complaints. I tried to convince myself it was due to the nature of his job. One day during Mia's spring break, before entering middle school, "I'm going on a business trip this week. I won't be back for a week." When confirming his return, as usual before his trip, "Next month is your best friend's due date, right?" I smiled as usual, and revealed the real reason Christopher lied about his trip. Christopher was taken aback by my unexpected comment, his face stiffening in surprise. He was having an affair with my best friend since childhood, Ava Thompson. I had discovered this just a few days earlier. It's great that it's sunny today. I want to see as much as I can. That day, I had taken Mia on a day trip to a tourist spot far from home. I'm glad she's happy. I hope this becomes a memorable experience for her last year of elementary school. I wish we could come here again with Christopher. We haven't been on a family trip since Mia was in kindergarten. Maybe we can go on one trip as a family again sometime. Christopher wasn't back from his assignment preparations yet, so when I asked that day, "I have work? Sorry, I can handle the move preparation alone, so just focus on having fun with Mia." His predictable response made me even more determined to make the day enjoyable for Mia. It's spring break, so it's crowded, but there are events, and it's fun. When was the last time we had such a good time? Thinking back, I had been so focused on household chores, raising my daughter, and work that it had been a long time since I went on a trip. So I was enjoying the outing with my daughter. But then, is that Christopher? Isn't he supposed to be at work? I saw someone who looked like my husband in the crowd. When I squinted to get a better look, wait, is that Ava with him? Didn't she say she didn't want to move much because she's pregnant? Why are the two of them looking so close? It was impossible that the two people, who seemed like lovers, could be my husband and my best friend. We did meet as a family occasionally, but I didn't think Ava and Christopher were that close. Before we got married, I introduced my best friend to Christopher. "This is Christopher. We're dating with marriage in mind. Nice to meet you. Nancy and I have known each other since elementary school." Nancy can be a bit laid back, so I feel reassured that she's with someone as reliable as you, Christopher. Oh, Ava, it's not that big of a deal. You two really get along well. Up until the early days of our marriage, the three of us would occasionally have meals together. How's married life? Any troubles? Nothing to worry about. Exactly. Nancy handles the housework, so I can focus on work. I'm really glad I got married. Thank you, Nancy, for always taking care of everything. You two are really close. I'm glad there's nothing to worry about. Even then, things were friendly, but kept at a certain distance. Besides, Ava always seemed to prioritize work over relationships or marriage. I heard she's been seeing someone for a long time, too. Maybe it's just people who look like them. I wanted to believe it was just a resemblance. Hey, Mom, isn't that Dad and Ava? Wasn't Dad supposed to be at work today? My daughter's shocked words made it clear it wasn't just a mistake. Should I go over and check? But if it really is them, what should I do? While I was hesitating, the two disappeared into the crowd. Even after that, the scene lingered in my mind, spoiling what should have been a pleasant trip. I'll check into it, Mia. Maybe it's just people who look like them. Since my daughter was also curious, I decided to find out the truth. Yay, you're right. I asked my daughter to keep quiet until I could confirm things, and began looking for clues. Once Christopher comes back from his assignment and settles at home, maybe I can find something on his phone or computer. I thought of checking his communication records. Starting work that involves using computers turned out to be helpful. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to check. Christopher probably never thought I'd snoop around, given the kind of person I am. The passwords on my husband's smartphone and computer were simple, so I was able to check them quickly. If there's anything, it would be in the emails, right? There it is. They're exchanging messages so frequently. The contents of their exchanges seemed more cheerful than those between my husband and me. Since the due date is approaching, it's been hard to move around alone. The hot springs were great, and sightseeing was fun. It was the best way to recharge before giving birth. I enjoyed it too. Besides, you're having my child, so this is the least I can do. Wow, did you ever do something like that for Nancy? No, she quickly gives up when I say I'm busy with work. If I complain a little about the housework, she takes it to heart and does everything. Lately, she's started working, but it's more like a hobby. When I told her not to slack off on the housework, she went all out. When I had told my husband that I wanted to work since I was gradually managing things, Nancy, you're not used to working, are you? And what if you can't handle the housework because of work? I have a position, and there's no need for you to work. We'll need money for Mia's school fees soon. And since you've been away on assignments, I've had more time. I want to do something I can manage. I'll keep up with the housework as before, so please, let me work. I want to try it. I had quit my job soon after we got married, but working again after a long time felt fresh and enjoyable. Most of the moms I know work, and when Christopher and me aren't home, just doing housework leaves me with extra time. I want to make good use of it and expand my capabilities. Although it wasn't just about the money, my desire to work kept growing. As expected, my husband showed reluctance. When we get married, I asked you to be a housewife, didn't I? Are you planning to neglect the housework? I'll keep doing the housework as before. It won't be anything for you to worry about, I pleaded, and he reluctantly agreed. At the time, I thought his opposition was because he was concerned about the family. Did he prefer having a wife with no income? When Mia was still little and I was struggling with parenting, my husband said, "Who do you think you owe our lifestyle to? You're a housewife, so take care of the home properly." He helped with child care when necessary, but his complaints made it seem like it was all my fault. Did he marry me thinking I'd be easy to control? I had never considered this possibility before, but one of the older emails said, recently, Nancy has become so proud just because she's a full-time employee now. Despite her low wages, she acts like handling both work and housework is impressive, and it's so annoying. Even when she was a housewife, there were times she seemed to want help with the housework. If this is how it was going to be, maybe it would have been better to have a working wife from the start. Sometimes I think marrying someone who would be a housewife was a mistake. There are times I feel like I should have chosen you instead, Ava. It's hard to say if you'd have been as successful in your career if you had a working wife. Do you love me that much? Being with you makes me feel relaxed and rejuvenated. And since the tests show it's a boy, right? Daughters are adorable, but I've always wanted a son. I was thrilled when I found out you were pregnant, but knowing it's a boy made me even happier. I want to restart married life with you. I'd feel more secure with you around for the parenting, and it would be better for the child. I'm in favor of becoming your wife, Christopher. Nancy doesn't know about the affair, so why not make up some excuse and get divorced? After the divorce, we'll need to make sure the affair isn't suspected, or we might have to pay alimony. If you go on another assignment and then register the marriage there, wouldn't that work? That sounds great. Being with you is enjoyable wherever we are, and avoiding the label of an affair keeps our image intact. If I say I don't want to see my ex-wife and daughter because I'm heartbroken, people might believe it. Everyone would feel sorry for you, which would be perfect. I realized that they had been having an affair since before our marriage, mocking me all along. The utterly despicable exchanges between the two, whom I had trusted, almost brought me to tears. You were with Ava all along, both of you mocking me. And yet, Christopher still married me. We vowed to support each other, and Ava's child is Christopher's. Just because it's a boy, this is terrible. A few months ago, I met with my best friend, bringing my daughter along, and she had announced her pregnancy. We've been together for a long time, but work came before marriage. It was like a common law relationship, and now I'm pregnant with his child. I didn't know you had been with someone for so long. Wouldn't it be tough to raise a child in a common law relationship? Wouldn't it be better to register the marriage? Yes, we're considering it for the baby's sake. But he was very happy, so there's nothing to worry about. He agreed to get married. Seeing your married life, I always admired it, and I'm really happy. I see, that's great. Congratulations. Do you think it will be a boy or a girl? I can't wait to find out. Yay, I just hope the baby is healthy. I congratulated her, marveling at her growing belly, never suspecting that her partner was my husband. She said it was like a common law relationship because he couldn't get married since he was already married to me. From the way Ava talked, it seemed like they'd been together since before my marriage. And it fits with this. What were they thinking? Having an affair. And if they were planning to marry Ava, they must have been thinking about divorce from back then. Even when Mia was born, he celebrated and played with her at times. I had regular interactions with my best friend, including with my daughter, so it was hard to believe she was secretly having an affair with my husband. Even though my husband wasn't home much and complained about housework. It's your birthday today, right? Happy birthday. I can't be there because of work, but have a good time together. Thank you for taking the time. I thought he cared about us even though he was busy and couldn't always be there. I thought that celebrating our birthdays meant he cared about the family, even if he was often irritable due to stress. But it was just to avoid suspicion about the affair, not out of concern for the family. His busy schedule wasn't because of work. It was to see Ava. I had noted his business trip schedules in my planner. And from the emails, the days he claimed to be on business trips coincided with the days he met Ava. I don't want to believe it, but it's the truth. Not everything was a lie, but the fact that he could do such a thing shows he didn't care about the family. For now, I'll take photos to keep as evidence. The shock of discovering the affair left me barely able to think, but I took the evidence anyway. The next day, when my husband mentioned another business trip, I secretly checked while he was asleep. The baby's due next month, right? It's a time when it could happen any time, so I'll come over and help with the housework. That way, you can be at ease. Really, I'm so happy. With the baby in my belly, I can't see my feet well, and walking is scary. It's such a relief to have you with me. I'm looking forward to it. Reading this, I felt numb but took a photo of it, facing my husband, who casually lied about his work. You care so much about Ava, telling me not to make you do housework, but helping her with it, preferring a son over a daughter. This is too much. Reaching my limit, I couldn't hold back and exposed everything. I know you've been meeting Ava under the pretense of business trips. I can't live with someone like that anymore. You want to live with Ava and the baby, right? You thought you could divorce me and remarry without being caught. Well, I won't let that happen. You'll pay alimony, and we'll get a divorce. I had already explained the situation to my daughter. Mia, it's shocking, but Dad has been having an affair with Ava. Are you okay with us getting divorced? Yes. I always thought it was because of work, but it turns out he was lying. He was rarely home, and I hated how Dad ignored you when you were so busy. It's better if Dad isn't around. He's hardly ever home, so we won't miss him. With my daughter agreeing to the divorce, even if it's tough as a single mother, and even if alimony and child support are paid, there will be challenges. But I'm done relying on Christopher. I'll manage on my own. I steeled myself to protect my daughter. How do you know? When I confronted my husband about the affair, he readily admitted it. It seemed like he intended to keep it a secret and was only curious about how I found out. I looked at your emails on your computer. What? Just because we're family doesn't mean you can invade my privacy. That's so inappropriate. This is why people who've never worked are so out of touch. His words angered me, and I raised my voice to argue back. Don't talk to me about inappropriateness when you've been cheating all along, even before we got married. Why did you get involved with me in the first place? And I know it's not right to snoop, but I started looking because I saw you arm in arm with Ava at a place unrelated to work, when you were supposed to be away on business. Of course, I would investigate. Maybe because it was the first time I shouted. My husband was stunned into silence. I want you to pay alimony and child support. We're getting a divorce. I have evidence of the affair. So there's no getting out of it. You seem to prefer Ava anyway, so this shouldn't be a problem for you. Understanding he had to pay alimony, my husband looked frustrated, but said, "Don't think you can survive just because you'll get some money, especially since you've hardly worked before. Even though you've become an employee, it's not going to be that easy. I'm going to remarry Ava and live with my son. Don't come running back to me for help." He then agreed to the divorce. Later, when I called my best friend to inform her of the same, she responded, "So you finally figured it out. I thought you were too clueless to notice. Surprising. Sorry for stealing your husband. But you know, you're partly to blame for not noticing anything. Don't hold it against me, okay?" Her tone, once friendly, suddenly became condescending. "How could you do this? You celebrated my wedding and the birth of my child." Even though my voice trembled, I asked why she had the affair, and she continued, even more dismissively, "Oh, because you seemed so happy liking Christopher, but actually, he likes me. I thought about marrying him, but having kids would have made work difficult, so we stayed as lovers. And you didn't notice a thing. It was fun going on dates with him, especially since you were so oblivious. What? What are you talking about? Well, I'll pay some alimony at least. I'm in a good position at work, so I'm not short on money. You're the one who'll have a hard time without your elite husband. Anyway, I'm going to be happy with him now. I was speechless at her response. I was indeed slow to realize. Despite being cheated on all this time, I didn't notice until now. I used to be quite laid back, often relying on her for help. Get a grip, okay? I can't always be there to help you. I admired her bright, dependable nature and tried not to depend on her too much, making an effort to improve myself. Maybe that's what she didn't like about me, though I couldn't forgive the infidelity. There had been friendship between us, making the situation all the more painful. Feeling betrayed by someone I considered a friend was a heavy blow, but my sorrow gradually turned to anger. But we're not connected anymore. From now on, I'll focus on Mia. I couldn't afford to be downcast for the sake of my future life. Determined, I moved forward with the divorce, hired a lawyer, and quickly completed the process. I want everything settled before Mia starts school. I never expected this to happen, but I'm glad I started working. I was grateful that I started working from home at the suggestion of a mom friend while my ex-husband was on a solo assignment. Thanks to that, I've learned how to use computers, which I used to avoid. And having my own income gave me the confidence to decide on divorce. There's no way I'd endure living with the knowledge of the affair. It's a good thing I didn't end up divorced without a job. Although my income isn't much compared to Christopher's, I can just work more to increase it, since my daughter had already been helping with chores. She said, "Mom, you're going to focus on work now, right? I'll try harder to help with chores so you can feel at ease." After the divorce, she eagerly took on more household tasks, making it seem like we could manage our lives well enough, which brought some relief. Still, it's frustrating to think they're both hardly bothered by having deceived us all this time. They seem untroubled about paying alimony, given their high incomes, and even with a child to raise, they don't seem to care much. Perhaps they'll feel regret if we're able to enjoy life without Christopher, though I felt unsettled by the prospect of them finding happiness after their affair. I soon learned that this wasn't the case. Now we're officially married. I'm so happy you are my wife. Let's raise our soon-to-be-born child together. Though they registered their marriage right after the divorce, full of happiness. What? A demotion? Why now, all of a sudden? Their affair had been discovered at work, leading to their demotion. This can't be happening. What if rumors about me spread around the office? I'm on maternity leave now. But what if people distance themselves when I return? How did this get out? Was it because we remarried so quickly? But a demotion this soon. Both had been progressing steadily in their careers. But this incident had closed those doors. Furthermore, the alimony turned out to be more than they expected. We can't afford to pay this much alimony when our income has dropped. How are we supposed to manage our lives now? Alimony is this expensive, and we have to pay child support too. We've got a son on the way, can't we be excused from this? They were now struggling with finances, and neither their parents nor relatives were willing to help upon learning of the affair. This is bad. I'm about to give birth, and they won't even lend us a hand. We'll go bankrupt if we keep paying alimony and child support. Don't they feel sorry for the child we're about to have? Feeling cornered, they reportedly showed up at my parents' house. We can't keep living like this. Even if the baby is born safely, we'll struggle to care for it. Please, let us speak with Nancy. Please, give us her contact information. They wanted to ask me to stop the alimony and child support payments, and had come to find out where I was. Naturally, my parents were furious. Christopher, you were married to Nancy and had a daughter. Yet you kept having an affair. It's only right that you were demoted. Nancy always supported you, busy as you were with work, and yet you didn't work or uphold the household. Continuing the affair, shame on you. And you, Ava, claiming to be her friend while having an affair with her husband. This is the result of your actions. You must pay the alimony and child support. Angry, my parents chased them away. This is truly a troublesome matter. You live not too far from the old house, right? Be careful not to run into them. If you do, let us know immediately. We'll handle it. Sorry for the trouble, and thank you. Hearing from my mother about their situation, I was exasperated by how they hadn't anticipated the fallout from their affair. Once divorced, we're strangers. And there was no need to tell them where I moved. I've handed over any interaction with them to my lawyer, erased their contacts, and even changed my email address and phone number, just in case. I thought it was a bit much, but I'm glad I did. Though they hadn't finished paying yet, the two seemed to regret their affair. They'll probably try to avoid paying by making excuses. But with Ava's parents, and my mom angry at them, they might figure out a way to pay eventually. Even without relying on alimony, I have my income, so as long as they don't show up here, it's fine. Living cautiously after my mother's message, I found out that the incident of the two showing up at my parents' house had become the talk of the neighborhood. Weren't they close? Is it true that Ava stole Nancy's husband? That can't be right. How could she do something like that? Word spread among our former classmates that my best friend had been having an affair with my ex-husband. They get married, but now they're struggling. Didn't you marry the husband you stole from your best friend? Your struggles are your own doing. Don't get involved with us anymore. Bye. Wait, help me. My former best friend was abandoned by our mutual friends as well. In this situation, we can't pay alimony. Nancy has people to help her, so she doesn't really need us to pay. Right? We have to live without anyone's help from now on. Do you even care what happens to our child? Despite their reluctance, both of their parents were furious. You acted friendly with Nancy while having an affair. What were you thinking? Take responsibility for your actions. You used to be so close, yet you had an affair. It's lucky you weren't fired for it. Pay the alimony properly. The one you should have been loyal to was Nancy. Yet, you were unfaithful even before marriage. You left everything to Nancy under the guise of being busy with work while you were having an affair. Don't joke around. Pay the alimony already. Nancy was such a good wife, and Mia is a good child. Did you have no sense of responsibility as a father? At least pay the alimony and child support. Finally, after being scolded by their parents, they paid the alimony. Thank goodness. All the divorce-related procedures are finally complete. Hearing this news from my lawyer brought me relief. My daughter was about to enter middle school. With the changes in classes and club activities in middle school, it was good to have this settled beforehand. Though the divorce commotion had taken over her break, Mom, how about this piece of furniture? It's cute and looks easy to use. My daughter excitedly picked out furniture we couldn't bring during the move. Christopher was never really involved with Mia, so it's no problem now that he's out of our lives. Seeing my daughter seeming unconcerned about her father reaffirmed my desire to protect her happiness. My former best friend gave birth, but with everyone knowing it was a result of an affair. There were no celebrations. It wasn't supposed to be like this. I thought marriage would be more fun, but it's nothing like I imagined. How are we supposed to manage with child support and alimony on top of the costs of raising a child? It's all too much. They were struggling desperately, without any money, trying to make it on their own, without anyone to help them. Raising their child seemed overwhelming, and they looked noticeably worn out, far from how they used to appear. As for me, I was living peacefully with my daughter in our new home. Club activities with friends are so fun. We'll be practicing more for the upcoming tournament. Since my ex-husband was rarely home, our current life felt much lighter. Mia had always helped around the house, and without worrying about Christopher, life now was easier. Mia seems to be laughing a lot more these days. Seeing my daughter happier than before made me happy too. I hope to continue living peacefully like this in the future.